I don't view Christian nationalism as connected to Black or people of color politics in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Because you may find some people of color aligning themselves with Christian nationalism, but Christian nationalism, as defined by Gerald Smith in 1944, excludes people that didn't look like him, because he specifically said, keep the blood pure. What blood was he taking? He was talking about his blood and white blood. He wasn't talking about keeping America blood pure, because in their eyes, we're not Americans.
Yeah. No,
you got to remember, we didn't get the birthright to become Americans until the 14th Amendment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Native Americans or indigenous people didn't get citizenship automatically at birth until the 1890s. So when they start talking about what's an American, they're not talking about us.
Yeah. I understand more so. I think more recently, as I'm starting to understand these concepts. I remember, I think it was, who was it that I read? I read the manifesto of one of the mass shooters. I can't think of his name, but I remember reading through the manifesto, and he was talking a lot about the Great Replacement theory. And that was the first time I started to understand the psychology of like them seeing basically non-white people as outsiders or perceiving them as un-American. I had never really fully understood it until I heard it from that perspective. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, so they view us as interlopers on their land, and it's not even their land, but they view us as interlopers in the country we helped build, or primarily our labor built this country in the 1800s during the Industrial Revolution. But they ignore the fact that, you know, it was us who put forth the blood, sweat, and tears to build the railroads along with the Chinese, and build roads and infrastructure that we all can take advantage of now. But they don't want to recognize that we are part of this country. I mean, when was growing up, I heard "Go Back to Africa."
Yeah. Well, that was a movement too. I mean, I know that largely in.
But my family has been here since the 1700s.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Longer than probably their family has been here. But I should go back to Africa. Right. But that, you know, that's a common theme in the Great Replacement theory. It's Black people are going to replace you, or other people of color are going to replace you and take your job or take your place in society. You know, they view equality and equity for everybody else as a loss for them.
As a lot. Okay. Would you say this is connected to just this competitive system, capitalism? Because in capitalism, you have winners and losers. There is really no, everyone's equal, right? You're going to have those, the haves and the have-not. That's kind of the system set up. You
absolutely have winners and losers, and they assume, and here's where the we're losing because they're gaining comes from. It comes from the fact that for 100 years in America and some, we had apartheid. You didn't have to compete with the Black guy because they could just say, we don't want to hire the Black guy. You didn't have to compete for housing because, like Donald Trump did with Trump Enterprises, a C on the application meant that person was Black and you didn't rent to them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got a system where you're favored in the system because there, you know, no matter what anybody said, racism in America was systematic, it was endemic, it was sanctioned by the government, and you only need to look as far as our military, which was segregated, to understand that segregation was part of our government. It was in banking. It was everywhere. So when you start removing the segregation and everybody's got to play on the same playing field, those people that had an advantage feel like they're losing something, because they don't get the pass just because they're white anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the great replacement theory comes from. Is you say that everybody is equal, but you don't want to play on an equal playing field.